Good morning, everyone. We're from Group 4 that consists of Bintang, Hani, Citta, Afisa, and Hanif, and we're here to present about the Pertamina Hulu Indonesia. Okay, so I'm going to start with the company profile. So PT Pertamina Hulu Indonesia, or PHI, is established in December 2015 and is a key part of Pertamina Upstream Subholding, focusing on oil and gas exploration and also production. Headquartered in Jakarta Selatan, PHI operates across Kalimantan Timur, Utara, Selatan, and Tengah, managing both onshore and also offshore sites to support Indonesia's energy sector. The subsidiaries are first PT Pertamina Hulu Mahakam, PT Pertamina Hulu Sanga-Sanga, PT Pertamina Hulu Kalimantan Timur, PT Pertamina Hulu West Ganal, and last PT Pertamina EP. So PHI has the vision to become a world-class oil and gas company with the mission to create value for stakeholders through innovation, strong business fundamentals, and also operational excellence. So the principles grounded by PHI corporate values create akhlak, which stands for amanah, competent, harmonious, loyal, adaptive, and also collaborative. Okay, so when it comes to the business operations, PHI focus on oil and gas exploration and also production, both onshore and also offshore. And the key facility is Tanjung Santan, which handles crude oil and BRC. And the main products is Ataka crude oil and Bontang return condensate. And when it comes to operations, crude oil processing, compressor stations, also product movement.
Thank you, Citta, for the opening. And in this slide, is discussed about Pertamina Hulu Indonesia operation and land acquisition process, which is Pertamina Hulu Indonesia operate across East Kalimantan, North Kalimantan, and South Kalimantan. And our operation are coordinated from the Balikpapan Zone Office and overseen from the Jakarta Regional Office. And for the process flow itself in the PHI, there are land acquisition and legalities, which is this initial stage involves identifying and negotiating with land owners to acquire the necessary land, and this includes assessment of land value, legal ownership, and land use rights. And also during this phase is compliance with local and regional and national regulation is crucial, and this includes obtaining necessary permits and clearance from the government authorities and ensuring that all legal requirements are met. And the next step is go, which is one land acquisition and legalities are addressed. There are formal approval to process with the project is obtained, and this stage involves securing authorization from zone and regional office and confirming that all regulatory and compliance requirements are satisfied, and finalizing the project plan. And the third phase is land preparation and construction, which is preparing the land for operational activities, involve clearing and grading the site, construction access roads, and setting up necessary infrastructure. And in this phase also includes building facilities such as extraction sites, process plants, and storage area, and it ensures that all construction activities to safety and environmental standards. And the third phase is extraction, which is extraction involves the actual process of obtaining reserve from the land, and this includes drilling, mining, or other methods depending on the type of resource being extracted. And also the last phase is production, which is after extraction, there are raw materials are processed and refined into usable products, and this stage includes quality control and ensuring that products meet both safety standard and regulatory requirements. And in this company, there are procedure in this company, which is legal compliance for the land acquisition involve consultation and price appraisal by zone officer with field officer handling daily communication and strategic decision involving departments KLHK and regional officers. And the challenge for this company itself is delays in obtaining swift decision and can hinder progress. Also, particularly when permits or approval are urgently required, and regulatory complaints, particularly where change are frequent, and environmental management are also time-consuming and may require manpower, which may be costly.
Okay, so now I'm going to explain basically what Pertamina is going through. So, as you guys all know, Pertamina Hulu works in a place that's not cities. So they are like, say, like a rig or like somewhere in the forest, something like that. And they call this the field. So the field is basically where they work for the hard things. Okay, so the problem itself is actually quite simple. It's that in order to operate in locations, they have a long process for both the work itself and also the authorization process. Now, authorization process here actually means that like to have work in a certain place, to have things to do in certain places, especially the one that's like in Kalimantan and like places that are very protected, it requires a lot of paperwork and also a lot of bureaucracy to go through. And that is Pertamina's problem. It's that they need to go through that and that makes them slow. So as you can see here, we have three problem breakdown points. So firstly is basically the variance of work. They have quite a lot of people in the field that has things to do. But the thing is like they have to connect with each other and then they have to also to connect to um like people on the field, people off field, so on and so forth. That makes the problem complicated and makes everything work slowly. Which leads to my next point, which is the bureaucracy. Not only is this problem something that's sideways, but it's also something that's top down, where they have to report to the head office and also have to report to the government too. And all this happens while they have a quick pace of work, which means that they don't have much time to spend on anything and they must do it quickly because the field itself is ever changing. Now, it may sound simple, but it's actually not because there are some constraints they have to go through, such as legality, for which with things such as land, with things such as rigging, so on and so forth, it requires a lot of paperwork and it is very easy for Pertamina to break the law. Thus, everything required with legality must actually be fulfilled, or it can lead to legal consequences. Other than this is actually ethicality. As you guys see in the process, there are things such as like helping socializing people about the land, um, giving out the land, and like there are some things on like paying on how much Pertamina should pay for the land, so on and so forth. And if they skip or skim through that process, it could create an ethical problem. And with ethical problem, other than it being unethical and bad, it could also lead to public outrage, which is something that could destroy Pertamina's image. Now, that is the problem and its constraint. And that is also why the problem itself is not as easy as we think. Now, for the next part, I'm going to have to talk about the stakeholders, for which there are seven main stakeholders that contributes to this process and thus for this problem. The first one is the contact field officer. The second one is the regional officer. The third one is the zone officer. And those are the officers in and off field. And the secondary ones are the local inhabitants and the local government.
Okay, thank you, Bintang, for giving a brief of the situation. And our interviewer also gave an illustration of an actual case that had happened due to all of these bureaucratic and locational differences. So first of all, for example, they've acquired a field or a land that has oil and can be exploited. So they need to a rig. They need an onshore rig to be hauled to the field, but they need to pass it through a certain region, say a village or something. But maybe they are stopped by the local authorities because they need a permit to pass through that village, as the field officers are not the decision makers and don't have any leverage or clearance to do so. The field officers then need to contact the zone office to assess the situation, and the zone office might be located maybe several hundred kilometers away. So at the zone office, in some situations, might also need to contact the regional office in Jakarta for further assessment, as the regional office has higher clearance and has higher authorities. So in some situations, the zone and regional officers might also need to visit the field to meet with the local authorities. And to visit the field, they need to, of course, find a schedule that is possible, and there might not be any possible schedules that is soon enough. So what will happen is the land acquisition will be delayed until they can visit the field, and subsequently, the oil extraction and production will also be delayed.
Now, the problem statement for our case is the need of a faster response time, as Bintang mentioned earlier, on the field work. And the problem is actually decision making is needed, especially in the high clearance matter, which is delayed to the distance of each project. And next, the geographical separation between the regional, zone, and field offices causes logistical difficulties. Now, what are the impacts is that the delayed decision making slows down the land acquisition process and actually extended the project timeline, which in the end increased the operational cost. Now, there are difficulty in maintaining the regular communications and also the coordination between offices. And now our goal is to implement a more realistical efficient decision-making process that reduces the need for a physical presence, improve communications between, again, the regional zone and the field offices itself, and accelerate the land acquisitions and process to meet the project deadlines and keep costs under control.